Hello, this is the Artificial Dragon here. I just wanted to add a quick little interjection here. I do apologize for the horrible quality. My microphone wasn't working for some reason. That's what happens when you don't double check your microphone, folks. So I do apologize for the horrible quality. But I do appreciate the support if you continue watching this video. And yeah, thank you all for your support. Hope you enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi podcast. I am your host, the Artificial Dragon.
I am Kit.
I'm Hannah.
Alright, and we do apologize. It's been way over a month since our last episode 10 to be specific. A lot of things have happened. I just recently graduated from college. So what you're listening to is a new graduate who has an emphasis on independent filmmaking. So I finally have that weight over my shoulders at long last.
Yay!
Whoa!
Oh, I could. The optimism is strong within these two. But yeah, a lot of things have happened, personal stuff, blah, 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 blah. But we do have a very exciting announcement today, kind of a late announcement. The Patreon is now live, so any of you that want to support the podcast and also love looking at a fan service of your favorite Star Wars characters, you could go to our Patreon. And our most recent one is of Kenobi practicing his negotiation skills with the Duchess of Mandalore.
Negotiation.
That sounds inappropriate.
Well, that's kind of a point, Anna.
But it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah, not as bad as you think.
Negotiation.
Star Wars
skills.
beach episode. Basically.
But yeah, unfortunately this won't be a Kenobi-centric episode, because, well, it would be very appropriate, but unfortunately we're not in that route yet.
Like he said, we have to take a break from Force users.
Right after this episode, anyway. But yeah, guys, you know what today's episode is going to be about?
Forms. In lightsaber forms, baby.
Lightsaber combat.
Let's
Lightsaber
go.
combat.
You put the lightsaber between your legs and then you just dangle it.
Is every episode of a podcast from now on going to have a NSFW warning on it?
Yes.
At least adult jokes. You know, we're all adults here, so fuck it.
We all have the mentality of 5-year-olds, Hannah. What are you talking about?
Bullshit.
I'm very mature. I'm super mature. Like, I'm ultra mature, dude.
You are not ultra mature, kid.
Yes, I am.
Penis.
My point
Oh,
is actually
shit.
Okay, so to get immediately back on track. So yeah, like with a lot of weapons in the modern day, there's always, what's the saying? There's always 150 martial arts known to man, something like that.
Yes.
Because
But most of them are very similar because most of them do the same kicks and punches.
Yeah. Like, it's always kind of ridiculous with comics. Like, Batman knows every single fighting style known to man, which is fucking ridiculous in of itself.
Because he's Batman.
Because he's Batman. But yeah, like most weapons, the lightsaber does have its own specific fighting style, like with kendo for the katana, or bojutsu for the bow staff, eskrima, fencing, all of those sorts of fighting styles. The lightsaber does have its own unique fighting styles, and we'll be exploring each 7 form of lightsaber combat. Actually, now that I remember, you remember in the last episode we had a couple of things, like, first off, Kit, you remember how you were wondering if there were lightsaber nunchucks?
Yes. Are there?
Yes, there is one case of there being lightsaber
let's
nunchucks.
fucking go, baby!
Can I help
Bruce
you?
Lee!
I have a friend.
Lopez being a cat, just chilling out, just don't worry.
The mayonnaise droid is bothering me.
Anyway, yes, there is one case of there being lightsaber nunchucks. They were used by Asajj Ventress as a DLC character in the original Battlefront 2 game.
Huh.
Which is a bizarre choice for Ventress,
And
but
does she use it very cool?
I mean, I've looked at a couple of gameplay footage. It's just just regular nunchucks, but lightsaber form.
Oh.
So it's kind of weird. But that is the only obscure instance that this was brought to me by a fan of ours. So you know who you are. Thank you for that. Yeah. The Mon Calamari successfully scared off the mayonnaise droid, everybody. And secondly, you remember the blade adjuster for each lightsaber, and theoretically it could be used as a lightsaber dagger.
Mm-hmm.
There was also another very obscure instance of it where a named character actually did use the blade adjuster. And it's in I forget the name of the comic. I'm going to show you a picture of the comic in the chat. But it was used by Luke Skywalker, and he adjusted the blade length from the lightsaber to pick a lock, apparently. Yeah, just, I'll let Kit show it to you in a little bit.
That is so dumb.
Why? He's like, I'm going to pick this lock with his energy sword. He just puts it in the lock.
That's so dumb. Why?
Oh my god.
He's like, I'm going to pick this lock.
That's clever.
There we go.
That's clever.
I know, but there's literally, he literally says, there, and no damage to the locking mechanism. Despite it being, a fucking lightsaber. I know, comics.
Comics knowledge, or comics logic.
And that was the only time the blade adjuster has ever been used for the lightsaber in Legends canon, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So, just wanted to get those out of the way before I forgot. Fan of the channel, you know who you are. Thank you very much. But anyway, let me get back to the main topic of the episode. So,
lightsaber forms.
So yeah, like with any weapon, they come with their own fighting style, and of course, the lightsaber being a very new technology for the time, it needed its own fighting style because, as I mentioned before in the lightsaber episode, it doesn't exactly work like a metallic sword, of course. With a sword or a dagger, it could cut you at least, but with a lightsaber, it'll do more than just, cut you.
Mm-hmm.
So they need a new way of fighting with the lightsaber. And we're going to go with the very first form of lightsaber combat, which is called Shii-Cho. It's also known as the Determination Form and the Way of the Sarlacc. This was basically the fighting style that was introduced as a transitional period when the Jedi replaced all of their metallic swords into the everyday lightsaber.
I like how other forms have some sort of Asian name to it, but there's rarely any Asian people in Star Wars that I've seen.
It seems like it, doesn't it? It was basically...
This is Shii-Cho. Yeah, but all the... Okay. Where are you getting that name from?
I wonder, I know you're a Thai kid. Does Shii-Cho translate to anything in Thai?
No.
But it sounds Asian-like, right?
It sounds almost like Chinese.
Almost.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's
I hope that doesn't sound racist.
I don't know if there's a legit translation, but those are the names that they give these forms. So it was a fighting style that established the basic tenets, such as motion and target zones for the lightsaber, making it a tutorial style of sorts. So, this is more of a discussion episode than it will be a meme episode. Of course, we'll keep doing memes because that's the entire point of the podcast. So, in lightsaber combat, the basic tenets of each form So for each student, they learn specific things like the 6 zones, which is like Zone 1, which is the head. Zone 2, the left side of the arm. And Zone 3 is the right side and arm. Zone 4 is the back. Zone 5 is the left leg. And Zone 6 is the right leg.
What is the penis?
Probably Zone 7.
That's called Zone X. That's not a
But
number.
Zone X.
It's called Zone X. We never go there.
Yeah. And Form 1 is also the form that introduced blast deflection, the very basic tenets of blast deflections with Lightsaber. And it's basically each initiate within the Jedi Order is trained with Shii-Cho, as I said, as a tutorial form. And it's basically a lot of wide swings with the lightsaber. It's very simplistic and very predictable, but that's the entire point of Shii-Cho. And each student is trained to, like in most, I took one class of Kendo when I was in Japan, and they make you do these choreographed fighting sequences to get yourself familiar with the swordplay and all that.
Mhm.
It's kind of the same thing if they're called, what are they called? For the Jedi, they're called velocities, which is like, alright, we're going to do this training session. Zone 1, and they do this. Zone 3. Zone 4.
So it's practice.
Very, very practice-oriented.
It's like what you would do with any kind of martial art.
Yeah. None of us are martial arts experts, so audience, you will have to forgive us for that. We're not going to be able to
I mean,
go indefinite.
I know martial arts.
Alright, why don't you go ahead and tell us what sort of classes that you took?
I take Taekwondo, Krav Maga, and Muay Thai.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Then you'll be able to give us some insight on each one of these forms.
Bro, I'm no fucking expert. I just practice it. I don't a fucking expert.
I took one class of Kung Fu, and that's pretty much it.
I remember doing karate when I was 6.
Mm-hmm. So none of us are experts. Well, Kid is probably the quote-unquote expert in the room.
Most experienced.
Most experienced, more accurately. Shii-Cho is very emotionally headed mindset, which so like I said before, Shii-Cho is very simplistic, but it also emphasizes for each initiate that this is a fucking lightsaber. It's not a sword, it's not some sort of blunt instrument. It can literally cut through anything if you're not careful enough. So Shii-Cho is basically, okay, just keep in mind that this is a lightsaber, it could cut through anything. So it's all about disarming rather than dismembering.
Isn't it what we see the younglings doing in episode 2?
Yes.
Thought so.
That's part of their training where they are literally blindfolded and they don't have to depend on their eyesight or other senses. Just allow the Force to guide their actions and deflect the blaster bolts and all that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what if they miss? Did they just get hit?
Yeah. That's basically what happened with Luke in New Hope.
Wait, it's like a stun gun, right? It's not
it's
an
a
actual.
stun gun. It's not an actual blaster.
Could you imagine if it was? Ah!
Oh, there goes Initiate Jimmy.
I can imagine the Sith are like that because you know it's a fucking Sith.
Of course.
They're like, okay, Jimmy, see if you can deflect this. I can't see shit. Well, too bad. But yeah, let's see. It's also very emotionally driven because, of course, you're focusing on your inner being, and it's kind of an emphasis of do not let your emotions take your actions and all that, because if you do, you could easily kill anybody with a single swing of his lightsaber. I'm going to use a lot of quotes for this to emphasize the particular fighting style, and here's this quote that I really love, which describes the movements of a Shii-Cho specialist. He flirted with battle fever, the howling demon in his mind trapped behind the bars of discipline and guiding him as he slid down Form 1's razor edge. So it's basically like Shii-Cho is emphasizing that you must control your inner being and allow the Force to guide your actions. It's the most easiest form to learn, but it's also the most difficult to master, because if you let your emotions cloud your judgment, then you're just basically this bumbling most of the time, yeah. But the nice thing of Shii-Cho is that every Jedi, from the lowest of initiates to the highest of masters, have had experience in some regard with Shii-Cho. So every Jedi knows a couple of basic movesets of Shii-Cho.
Interesting.
Let's see, it's not exactly geared for lightsaber on lightsaber combat, because it has these wide swings, which makes it easy for a singular opponent to dodge. But it does offer it offers as a great crowd control fighting style, where you could just cleave through crowds of enemies all at once.
You are holding that so wrong.
Shut up.
Let me show you how it's done.
Alright, kid.
You're not supposed to hold it like that. You're supposed to hold it like this. This is true ascendancy. This is the true lightsaber form.
Do you want me to ascend you as a Discord moderator?
No, I'm not going to be a Discord mod. Thank you. Watch that.
Anyway, so one of the several techniques of Shii-Cho are one technique is the Sarlacc Sweep, which is a wide sweeping attack in which the duelist strikes multiple enemies at once.
So this is mainly for droids, or like a bunch of enemies or something.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a good crowd control fighting style. In case you're ever backed into a corner by multiple assailants and you just want to swing your way out of it.
Like droids.
Like droids, yeah.
Yep.
And then the second maneuver that Shii-Cho is known for is the Disarming Slash, which is really good if you want to disarm your opponent of your lightsabers or just attack their blaster and deprive them of their only means of attack. You doing that lightsaber over there, Hannah?
This is probably the best way to hold it if
Yeah.
you're going two-handed.
Yeah.
One down here, one up here above the button.
For the audience that can't see this, well, that sucks for you. But no, in all seriousness, well, for such a simplistic fighting style, it obviously comes with its own set of flaws. Like I said, it's not really practical against a singular opponent. It's not exactly made for a lightsaber on lightsaber combat.
No.
Because of its wide swings, people will just sidestep you and just kill you instantly.
Mm-hmm. No wonder the fucking Padawans couldn't defend themselves.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
And the most notable master of Shii-Cho is actually Kit Fisto.
Oh.
And he's regarded as one of the best duelists of the Jedi Order.
Cool.
And it also kind of explains why he was able to last a little bit longer than his contemporaries against Sidious.
Just a bit.
Just a little.
Still died. Still died.
That is very true. Now we're going to move on to Form 2, which is Makashi, otherwise known as the Contention Form, or the Way of the Yosal Miri. It is basically introduced...
Oh, I kept getting it mixed up with Form 4.
Yeah.
Makashi's Form 2.
Form 2. It is obviously the second fighting style that was introduced for the lightsaber. And it speaks for the shortcomings of Shii-Cho and made it and dedicated purely as a lightsaber on lightsaber fighting style.
Picture fencing.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
fencing of lightsaber
This
combat.
is fencing of lightsaber combat, but a lot more in depth. I mean, I'm no expert on fencing, so the experts that are listening to this can correct me on this. But yeah, Makashi, like I said, it addresses the shortcomings of Shii-Cho and making it more dueler-centric. It was much more about precision and efficient blade work. And I just turned on the lightsaber. And it's also very effective against defending the user against force abilities as well.
Interesting.
So yeah, and since it's much more precise, as opposed to Shii-Cho, which is all about slashes, blocks, and jabs, Makashi is more about parries, jab,
Shii-Cho is more slashy, this is more precision.
Yeah.
This is
Okay, so
snappy.
Makashi is more about jabs, parries, light cuts, rather than slashes, blocks, chops.
So you're using the lightsaber as a rapier.
Yes.
Essentially. And I think I can describe Makashi users as death by 1,000 cuts, otherwise, instead of just killing somebody with brute force.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It was all about...
They won't kill you immediately, they'll make you die slow.
Oh yeah, exactly what Dooku did to Obi-Wan in Episode 2.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was all about elegance and timing. Makashi users, when they're looked at by outside observers, they look more like they're dancing than they're actually fighting.
No wonder Dooku liked this form.
Oh yeah. Makashi users...
He's he's a little gay boy. He's a little flamboyant gay boy.
No being homophobic. It's Pride Month.
He's not homophobic. Just 'cause there's nothing wrong with being. There's nothing wrong with Dooku being gay.
Not that there's anything
Wrong with that.
Not anything wrong with it at all. Don't get us demonetized.
Yeah. And there are, like... I'm a little bit disoriented right now, so you'll have to excuse me. I used to do a Star Wars fan film, so I'm a little bit rusty with my forms right now, but I do know for a fact that the Makashi Salute is something like this, where they put it in front of their face and then swirl it to the side. That's basically opening stance for the fighting style. We
see that when Dooku initiates the fight in Episode 2.
Whenever the blade is in front of the user like this, that's usually the tellings of a Makashi user.
Cool.
And while Form 2 may seem like a very strict fighting style, given that it was developed solely for lightsaber-on-lightsaber combat, practitioners are really encouraged to be more pragmatic with developing mastery to Makashi, basing more on skill than one's relationship with the Force. So it's not like those douchebags who are like, "Huh, you can't match my skill in combat." It's more like, okay, I gotta prepare myself for any opponent, because if you just focus on one field, it's blinding you to other unforeseen methods of attack.
Makes sense.
Like, it's... I forget it's the Labyrinth of Evil. It's basically a novel that takes place a couple months before Revenge of the Sith, and it really explores Dooku's ideas on fighting with lightsaber combat. And he describes this area of thinking as enslavement to form. Example, a combat artist, a professional fighter, could be beaten by a cantina brawler who knows nothing of form, but knows everything on ending a fight quickly. That's kind of the... there's this quote. It's unrelated to Star Wars, but I love it a lot. There's this quote. It's, "The best swordsman does not worry about the second best. They worry about the worst, because they can't predict what the idiot is going to do." Kind of that mentality with Makashi users. You seem really lost, kid.
I'm interested. Go on.
Yeah, the core philosophy of Makashi was to avoid stagnation through personalization. They were, as I mentioned before, they were adept at defending against force-based attacks, along with elegance and precision, making it an effective fighting style against singular opponents. However, practitioners of Makashi are skilled in the application of two marks of contact, namely Sonjum, disarming, and Shuk, stabbing. And they specialize in specific types of lightsabers. For example, Dooku's curve-tilted lightsaber, which is much more flexible against a singular hand. Which is why it's killed curved like that. Because if it's straight like this, it's not exactly...
It's not flexible.
It's not very flexible with this.
That's why it's hard to actually do stuff with it.
Then maybe you should have made his lightsaber from like a dildo. And just
fucking floppy around.
Oh, you can't predict this. Oh, whoa. Which way is gonna go? Is it gonna go in your mouth? Up. Okay.
You just turn into Herbert from Family Guy. Oh no!
Jesus.
It hit your shoulder? Oh, it's touching your cheek.
Here's another quote that describes Makashi users perfectly. Finesse, artfulness, economy.
Dooku.
Yeah. That being said, Makashi isn't without its weaknesses. Due to its core philosophy of why can I not speak today?
Sophisticated.
Thank you. Obviously, I am not very sophisticated. Sophisticated blade work precision, it had the inability to generate kinetic energy since it's not a very power-based fighting style. It's a fighting style by 1,000 cuts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it also had very poor defenses against power-based attacks. So it's kind of a glass cannon sort of fighting style, if that makes any sense.
Glass cannon can be useful.
Very useful, but they can't handle the same amount of damage right back.
Why are you
It's like how you say Mothra's a glass cannon.
Yep.
Why are you making cannons out of glass when there's metal?
Christ. And since it did address the shortcomings of Shii-Cho, it also wasn't very good at blast deflection, so you gotta be wary of blaster wielding opponents if you're a Makashi user. Obviously, this doesn't apply to every Makashi user, because Dooku is more than capable of blast deflection, but that's just the on paper.
Well, considering he's a master.
Yeah, I think he's a master of, he's a Makashi specialist, but he mastered every single Lightsaber form.
Oh, shit.
Yep. But he just prefers Makashi more than anything else because he sees himself.
Because he's a pompous prick.
He's kind of a pompous prick, yeah. Well, it should be, as I mentioned before, also given that its fighting style is meant for lightsaber on lightsaber combat, it is, most users can compensate for that by having better arm strength or cybernetics to put more emphasis on their stabbing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Notable masters of Form 2 are, of course, Dooku, Shakti, Asajj Ventress, and Grievous himself. But yeah, Makashi is extremely rare by the prequel era of the Clone Wars because
I'm sure.
Obviously there's no Sith for them to fight at that point, so it's basically a dying art, and only the most esteemed or vintage of...
It sounds
forces.
almost ceremonial.
Very ceremonial, which made it a very particularly powerful weapon for the Sith when they eventually came out fighting.
Shakti still knew it.
Yep. At least there's that. Then we go on to Form 3, which is Ceresu, also known as the Resilience Form, and the Way of the Mynock. If Form 2, Makashi, is basically the lightsaber on lightsaber for combat and attack specialist form, then Ceresu is basically the defense-oriented fighting style. It was invented in a time where blaster-wielding assailants became much more prevalent, like pirates, mercenaries, and all that, and Jedi needed to deal with those sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Ceresu comes in. It essentially is a development from Shii-Cho's blaster deflection training and expanded upon it to the nth degree.
So you're just deflecting everything.
Yes, it's very defense-oriented. Ceresu relied on tight blade work and subtle dodges to provide maximum defense while expending very little energy.
Maybe that's why Obi-Wan likes it.
Yeah. Much like Makashi, it relied on the economy of movement and footwork while expending little energy. This made well-trained Ceresu users practically untouchable, making it effective against both single and multiple opponents. The core philosophy of Ceresu is to encourage the users to place themselves within the eye of the storm, to maintain a calm center while your opponents rage about you. Essentially, it's the idea of letting your opponent wear themselves out while you're just an unstoppable wall.
Interesting.
But what if you have two Ceresu users? Is it just a Kakuna battle?
Well, when you put it that way, probably. And obviously Ceresu is a personification of Jedi pacifism because very defense-oriented is just allowing patience to wither your opponent while you are just standing there, just taking it. There are two known techniques of Ceresu. One is the Deflecting Slash, which is basically the idea of slashing while you're in the middle of a slash. You're deflecting a blaster bolt while you're slashing at another opponent right next to you. Then there's the Circle of Shelter, which basically allows you to defend against multiple opponents and your allies all around you at once. Ceresu users that have used this technique have been known to deflect blaster bolts from as many as 20 assailants at once.
Wow.
Yeah. And in this form, Masters of Ceresu are considered invincible.
I'm invincible!
I'll give you a quote from from one of Dark Vane's.
From Omni-Man! I'll give you a quote from Omni-Man.
Oh, lordy.
Okay, so here's a great example of how effective Ceresu is in defense. For context, this is one of Dark Vane's comics. I think he's doing some sort of ritual and some bullshit. As the
some bullshit. He's just doing some Sith shit.
This is probably the most bullshit example.
The usual Sith bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway, as the first fat drop splattered onto the patio stones around him, Bane exploded into action, abandoning the overpowering style of the gem so he shifted to the quicker sequences of Ceresu, his lightsaber tracing tight circles above his head in a series of movements designed to intercept enemy blaster bolts. The wind rose to a hailing gait, and the scattered drops quickly became a downpour. His body and mind united as one, he channeled the infinite power of the Force against the driving rain. Tiny clouds of hissing steam formed as his blade picked off the descending drops while Bane twisted, twirled, and contorted his body to evade those few he managed to slip through his defenses. For the next 10 minutes, he battled the pelting storm, reveling in the power of the dark side. And then, as suddenly as it began, the tempest was gone. The dark clouds scurrying away on the breeze, breathing hard, Bane extinguished his lightsaber. His skin was shinged in sweat, but not a single drop of rain had touched his bare flesh. That's how much bullshit Ceresu is.
I mean, if it works.
He literally deflected every single raindrop, and with the exception of the sweat, he didn't get touched by the rain once.
Dude, that's like that. That's like the AVGN video where it's like, so you have a better time of going out and dodging rain. Well, this guy did it.
He literally did it.
This guy fucking dodged rain. He also had the Tiger Electronic wristwatch. That's why he dodged rain. Yeah. He was just that Chad.
Yeah, Bane is an Omega Chad.
Oh Lord.
We'll eventually talk about Bane in his own episode.
He deserves his own episode. Really quick, could you hand me my phone?
Yeah. Well, the best example of a Ceresu user, good job putting Thrawn as your wallpaper.
Oh, thank you.
The best example of a Ceresu user would be Kenobi himself. And this is another quote, but from the Revenge of the Sith novelization when he was fighting Grievous on Utapau. The Electro drivers powering Grievous's mechanical arms let each of the 4 attacks twice in a single second, integrated by combat algorithms in the Biodroid's electronic network of peripheral processors. Each of the 12 strikes per second came from a different angle with different speed and intensity, an unpredictable broken rhythm of slashes, chops, and stabs, of which every single one could take Kenobi's life. Not one touched him. After all, he had walked unscathed through hornet swarms of blaster fire, defended only by the Force's direction of the blade. Countering 12 blows per second was only difficult, not impossible. His blade wove an intricate web of angles and curves, never truly fast, but always just fast enough. Each motion of his lightsaber subtly interfering with 3 or 4 or 8 of the general's strikes. Ferez sizzled past him, his precise minimum shifts of weight and stance slipping them by centimeters. Grievous snarled fury, ramping up the intensity and velocity of his attacks, 16 per second, 18, until finally 20 strikes per second. he overloaded Obi-Wan's defenses.
Cool.
This is literally the most anime bullshit ever.
And they can't show it in the movies because the movies have real actors, so they can't really show this.
Yeah.
Exactly. They should remake the movies into anime form. That way we'll be able to see their true speed and those sorts of things. Sorry, dry throat there. Also, I forgot to mention, Ceresu is the fighting style that allows the user to literally give themselves over to the Force more. And Ceresu is basically letting the Force guide your actions to deflect all oncoming sources. I think when Obi-Wan was fighting Grievous, he literally gave himself fully over to the Force. The person that called himself Kenobi was nothing but a distant memory. It was purely the Force guiding his actions against Grievous. As I said, it's the most defense-oriented fighting style, but given its defensive focus, it had very zero to little offense. Basically, the only offensive component is basically subtly just jabbing at your opponents. It's basically just a defensive tactic, just react accordingly, but you can't exactly fight back that often. And if it's set up against a aggressive, if cautious opponent, it's less of a impenetrable wall and more of delaying the inevitable. So it's not exactly uber bullshit or anything like that.
It's not an Uber charge.
Yes. But what's Ultra Instinct? Is that what it's called? With the Dragon Ball thing?
Yes. Ultra Instinct, you just dodge everything. You dodge everything.
I think that's the closest Ceresu will be for a anime category.
Da 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 na 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 na
Geico.
Oh my god, what the hell?
Hold up, I got to play the theme.
Anyway, some of the notable practitioners of Ceresu are Luminara Unduli and her apprentice Barazon. But of course, the most famous practitioner of the form is Obi-Wan Kenobi, who mastered Ceresu to a point where Mace Windu himself called himself not a master of Ceresu, but the master of Ceresu. That's...
Now you see why I sent for Obi-Wan.
Yeah. It really contributes to how much of a badass Obi-Wan is as a Jedi character. Then we go on to Form 4, which is called Ataru, also known as the Aggressive Form, or the Way of the Hawkbat.
The Hawkbat?
Yeah.
God. The fuck are these animals?
I mean, there's the Kowakian Monkey Lizard.
This is fucking stupid. A fucking monkey bat.
Out of all the 7 forms, it is the most fast-paced and acrobatic lightsaber form. So think of Yoda, Qui-Gon, and their acrobatic forms. That's basically Ataru.
And Anakin.
Yeah. It was created as an answer for Ceresu's lack of offensive capability. Ataru relied on a combination of speed and agility, making practitioners of a style always going on the offensive, no matter what. They're just strike, 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 jump, strike, strike, strike. They're always offense, 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 with a little bit of acrobatics added there. The primary components of Ataru are the Suma rotations, which is 3D axis of rotation within a 3-dimensional space. For example, there's Jon Suma, which is spinning, Ton Suma, flipping, and En Suma, cartwheeling.
Spinning. I'll try that. That's a good trick.
Well, there's an entire fighting style on that, so apparently it's a very good trick. Users of Form 4 call upon the Force to flow through their bodies and allow them to overcome their physical limitations, including old age, performing feats of acrobatics not only to attack, but to evade.
Of course Yoda would do that.
Yeah, which is why despite being literally 800 years old, he's able to do that bullshit. Ataru is the idea that you should never rely solely on skill of the lightsaber, but also to embrace the idea that their body is a weapon, given that users of Ataru are known to incorporate physical strikes in their combat sequences. So if you're a very martial arts, physique sort of guy, this would be the fighting style for you. I think Bruce Lee would be an Ataru specialist.
Probably.
Yeah. One of the known techniques of Ataru is the Hotbat Sweep, which is intended to allow the user to strike an opponent before they can react and retreat, and do it again and so forth, before they can retaliate. And another one was the Saber Swarm, which is the idea of striking the opponent with numerous short strikes, forcing them on the defensive. Well, this philosophy made Ataru a one-trick pony sort of fighting style, because since you're always going on the offensive, you gotta always commit to your action, even if it leads to your own end. And it really negatively affects the stamina of the user, because, well, you're doing a lot of acrobatics and all that stuff, so you can't do that for long periods of time. And due to this, Ataru is recommended only in short bursts to overwhelm it and cut down the enemy, and then retreat and switch to another fighting style. And because of this, Ataru is really a supplementary fighting style than a pure fighting style that you should only rely on. It's good for supplementary.
Just carry 8 lightsabers. Just carry one in each hand, one in your mouth, one between your knee, another one between your other knee.
Is that a One Piece character?
No, that's a Naruto character. That's Killer B.
Isn't there literally a One Piece character where he has, what, 3 swords in each hand and 1 in his mouth?
That's Zoro.
Yep.
He righteous Santoryu, which is literally 3 sword style. He beats the shit out of people so hard with his teeth.
Oh, Christ. And since it does a lot of acrobatic flips and all that, it's not really recommended to be in tight quarters, because obviously you're going to need a lot of space to do all of those acrobatic maneuvers.
As we saw with Yoda fighting Sidious in the Senate Hall.
Yeah, not to mention Qui-Gon in his battle against Darth Maul.
Question.
Yes.
Like, won't forms be better if you have more arms, right?
Kind of.
So wait, which Star Wars species has the most arms?
Let's see, there's...
Probably Pong Krell species?
That was Pon Krell.
I think? Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking? What?
That's his race.
He's a Clone Wars character.
Pon Krell? Who the hell is Pon Krell?
He uses... he's from the Umbara arc, where
He's the most shittiest Jedi ever.
he carries like 2 saber staffs in each hand.
Oh, this asshole.
Yeah.
The maximum amount of arms is only 4?
I think there are more Jedi that have more than 4 arms, but that's not the entire point with using one blade.
Hey man, I'm just saying, if you have a Star Wars race with like 6 arms, they're just automatically really good at lightsaber combat.
Well,
No, don't you debate me on this. I'm drunk, audience. I'm not drunk. But don't you debate me on this. You have fucking 6 arms, you have 6 sabers, are you kidding me? You're just like, dancing.
I'm sure that, Dooku has something to say about that, but I'll get to that later.
Don't you even at me. No, I would hold a fucking backpack that has like, if I was a 4-armed race.
Yeah.
Or species, and I had a fucking backpack, I'd have that backpack have 2 extra arms, and that backpack would hold my 2 extra lightsabers, and I'd hold 6 lightsabers total. You can't block that. You can't do anything against that. You can't.
Ceresu specialist.
Shut the fuck up.
As Obi-Wan showed earlier.
Sir, I can block everything.
He fucking deflected 18 strikes per second from Grievous. And Bane basically deflected a fucking rainstorm.
Yep.
Yes, but what if? but what if? What if they had a hat?
What?
What if they had a hat? changes everything.
Anyway.
Oh, god damn it. Yeah. Now, this is the segment of a podcast people can come back.
Well, no. Could you imagine 6-armed fucking Ceresu? Ceresu? Yeah, just Ceresu user. I can already deflect, but now I have 6 lightsabers to do. You can't. What are you gonna do? I'm blocking everything. Oh no, he has 6 lightsabers and he's a master of Ceresu and he has 6 arms? We're fucked.
No, right, we'll just nuke him.
Just this fucking guy yeeting through a bunch of battle droids.
Christ, man. Anyway, known practitioners of Ataru are Ayla Secura and Qui-Gon Jinn. Obi-Wan did master Ataru when he was Qui-Gon's apprentice, but he started to switch to Ceresu after witnessing the shortcomings of it by, Darth Maul killing his master
Yep.
before his eyes.
He's like, fuck this.
Yeah, he was all like...
Yeah, this bitch knows. No, show this picture on the fucking screen. I'm gonna show you this shit. This bitch knows what I'm talking. She has 6 fucking lightsabers.
Oh,
this
yeah.
bitch knows what's up. She knows what's up. She knows what's fucking up.
Fucking sister from Visions.
I have 6. It's like, well, yeah. Well, this is just bullshit. I can't do anything against that.
But anyway, the poster boy of Ataru would be Grandmaster Yoda, who mastered all lightsaber forms, but made Ataru his main fighting style to compensate for his small stature.
Of course, he's tiny.
He is very tiny, so of course he needs that leverage. Anyway.
And you see that when he fights Sidious. He's jumping around like a fucking kid hopped up on sugar.
Yep. Alright, next lightsaber form is Form 5, Xian and Djem So, otherwise known as the Perseverance Form, or the Way of a Crit Dragon. It is developed by form-free specialists who believe that the defense-oriented style of Ceresu was very unnecessary. So they basically, it's the idea of Ceresu, but it actually had offensive capability. Xian is the focus on blast deflection, while Djem So is basically the lightsaber-oriented style variant of that. Ruva's Form 5 required a higher amount of physical strength compared to other lightsaber forms due to its focus on complete domination, and it's the most physically demanded of all the 7 forms. Xian was a style that was best used against multiple opponents, given that it was geared for Jedi that are expecting to always be outnumbered and always outgunned. Some users of Xian would employ the reverse Xian grip, an unorthodox variant of Xian, where the wielder would held the lightsaber in a backwards formation like this. Kind of like what Starkiller does and Ahsoka later on.
I was about to say, Ahsoka did that, doesn't she?
Yeah. She's a practitioner of Xian, which is passed down from her master, Anakin. This particular grip allowed the user to better perform long sweeping strikes, like that, but it was kind of unorthodox and very impractical if you had multiple opponents in front of you.
Ahsoka managed to do it.
Oh yeah, because she's a fucking badass. Now, Djem So is basically, as I mentioned before, Ceresu taken up to 11, and it's the idea of the best defense is the best offense. But more oriented for lightsaber dueling. While Ceresu specialists stayed on the defensive and only counterattack when absolutely necessary, for Djem So, it's all about defending with an immediate counterattack, so they're always less passive and more progressive with their fighting style than Ceresu users. Djem So specialist was not... But unlike its successor styles like Ceresu and Ataru, Djem So required the user to press its attack without giving their opponent room to recover.
This fight stuff's so fucking stupid. It's literally tag, no tag backs, tag, no tag backs, tag, no tag backs. I'm just imagining this fucking guy just like fucking lightsaber fighting, just tapping someone with his fucking shoulder, then just fucking backing away. It's just almost getting hit. Almost gets his fucking little wee cut off. Whoa. He's just Mr. Beans his fucking way to victory.
But yeah,
Can't touch me. Up. Can't touch me. Up. It's like the cat fight. Fuck you.
But yeah, obviously the Gem Soul users are all about battering through your enemy's defenses, eventually overwhelming.
So it's the cat.
And cutting them down.
It's just the cat. You're literally just like, it's the cat just pawing at your fucking head over and over again.
Bam, 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 bam. Yeah.
Up. Just doing that shit. Fuck you.
A characteristic maneuver used by the Gem Soul users is the falling avalanche, which is an overhead power blow that crashes upon an opponent with exceptional force.
I call this one the cat paw.
Yeah, accurate.
Which is a very signature style that Anakin always uses when he's fighting. Like that fight between him and Dooku when he's just clashing against his sword like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also known as the vigorous cat paw.
Vigorous cat.
That's what he's doing! He's just...
Speaking of cat.
Is that when he tried to just stab him through the chair?
No.
Yes.
What? Really? This idiot. This fucking idiot.
Good fucking job, Skywalker.
Well, I can't blame him. That chair is pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, that chair...
It must be made of cryptosis.
I mean, I'm just saying, that chair did take on the Chosen One. Not only that...
As you said, the ones aren't even on chair level.
Hey, man. That chair.
That fucking chair,
It's
man.
pretty fucking strong. That chair gets bitches.
Yeah. Well, due to that, the Gem Soul is noted for its lack of mobility, and Shien is weak against single opponents. Form 5 was viewed by many within the Jedi Order as encouraging aggression and domination.
Juyo, right?
No, not Juyo.
Damn it.
The Gem Soul. We're about to get to that, though. Though not all Jedi shared this sentiment, as shown with Battle Master Syndra. He's basically the Jedi lightsaber instructor.
I thought you were about to say Syndrome from
This is what he says about the form.
If everyone's super, no one is.
Christ. Never thought I would hear that in the podcast. One must question any discipline that has lethal potential. However, if it serves to suppress violent opposition and preserve peace, I believe it is a discipline worth knowing.
Also quoted from Incrediboy.
Oh, Lord.
Syndrome was the one that invented this fight. So.
Incrediboy!
Though the Gem Soul is described as a strong style by Darth Bane, who utilized the Gem Soul to its fullest with his imposing size and raw strength, able to break and overpower the defenses of opposing lightsaber users with ease. And aside from Darth Bane, known users of Form 5 are Plo Koon and Luke Skywalker. Ahsoka Tano and Starkiller are Shien specialists, given their utilization of a reverse grip.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest master of the Gem Soul would be Anakin Skywalker, who is proclaimed as one of the greatest swordsmen of the Jedi Order, being described as peerless in combat, invincible against any opponent. Though the greatest perversion of the form would be utilized by his later identity, Darth Vader.
Of course. He's a master. No fucking wonder. Obi-Wan trained him.
Yep. If if Obi-Wan is the greatest master of defense, then Anakin Skywalker would be the greatest master of offense.
Makes sense.
Which is why their fight on Mustafar was so evenly matched. It's basically an immovable object against an unstoppable force.
Best fucking fight ever. Fight me in the comments.
Yeah. Best lightsaber fight of all time. Always one of my favorites.
If you disagree, I will fight you.
With which fighting style, though?
Hold up, let me dox Hannah really quick.
Alright, now we move on to Form 6, which is called 9-Man, otherwise known as the Moderation Form or the Way of the Rancor. Sorry.
I'm gonna add this in really quick. So my coworker and I were talking about this form,
Yes.
and he said it was also the Diplomat Form.
Yes.
Andy came up with an idea of a Rancor in a suit and a little bitty hat on his head.
Yes.
This form is for pussies.
Well, I mean, your character uses it, so.
Oh!
Sunburn!
Wait, well, let's not be too hasty now. Hold up. This form is for pussy slayers. Whoa!
You are stepping on that pussy.
Oh my god.
Edit that in. Let's not be too hasty. Let's not judge now.
But yeah, correct. It is called the Diplomats Form, given its heavy usage by Jedi consorts.
Stroke speared.
9-Man is basically a hybrid fighting style created by combining elements from all previous fighting styles into one generalized form. Utilizing many of the basic moves, but focusing on overall moderation. The original fighting style was practiced by the royal Matros of the Kashmir dynasty, which is the same people that used that worked with the Guardians of the Breath, by the way. So you could thank them for inventing 9-Man. But it was later adopted by the Jedi Order as 9-Man and Jar-Kai. We'll get into Jar-Kai later. The result was a fighting style that had no particular advantage, but also lacked any serious drawbacks, which why it's called a moderation form. It's basically think of it as a jack-of-all-trades fighting style.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. It incorporates everything.
Yeah. It doesn't have any particular advantage, but it doesn't have any of the weakness of the previous forms. And it was the most common fighting style utilized by the Jedi Order around the time of the prequels. Like, everybody and their mother was using 9-Man around that time.
Because it has everything in it.
Yeah.
So you don't need to just focus on one.
Yeah.
Only if you want to.
It's also very popular among Jedi scholars and all that, because it's one of those fighting styles that you don't have to dedicate too much time to. You could just do training for 1 week at a time, and you could just focus on other shit.
Say, like with Makashi, it's like you're training for your ass off for a while.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I wanna know more about politics. Well, too bad. Can I use 9-Man instead? Okay, that's fine.
So 9-Man is basically just basic martial arts or something?
Yeah,
okay.
it's essentially like that.
It's like the karate of lightsaber form.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, though even with its generalization, 9-Man was ill-suited for lightsaber-on-lightsaber combat or even the open battlefield, which is why a lot of fucking Jedi got killed in the Battle of Geonosis.
I wonder why.
But to compensate for its more relaxed blade work, 9-Man emphasized incorporating force abilities in conjunction with lightsaber sequences. So, it's like, this is one of the more common sequences of 9-Man. A slash with a force push and all that.
Pretty useful.
Very, very useful. Though masters of other forms consider 9-Man to be insignificantly demanding, given that while it is a generalized fighting style, one couldn't be considered a true master unless they studied the form for 10 years at least. So it's very easy to get into, but very hard to master.
A lot of them are.
Yeah. It should also be noted that while 9-Man offers no decisive edge in battle, it can achieve its full potential by allowing the wielder to become more creative, intuitive, and spontaneous. So it's basically a blank slate where you could build upon it. Due to its roots surrounding the use of dual blades, 9-Man was considered something of a gateway to Jar-Kai dual fencing. So a lot of 9-Man users do incorporate 2 lightsabers in their fighting style.
That's pretty cool.
Some of the more characteristic maneuvers of 9-Man are the draw closer technique, which is basically when you're force pulling a user towards you and then stabbing them.
I'm guessing by the way that this is described, this is Darth Maul's favored form.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of Star Wars YouTubers also nickname it the Trickster's fighting style because...
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
this is fighting dirty.
Yeah, it's very fighting dirty because you're using the Force all at once while you're stabbing people and all of that fun stuff. despite the ease of which a practitioner can get into learning 9-man, it is said it would be impossible for a 9-man specialist to defeat a Makashi specialist.
Ah, damn.
They're much more duel-oriented, and do keep in mind that Makashi specialists are better defended against force abilities.
True.
Known practitioners of 9-man are Darth Maul, Grievous, Ahsoka Tano, Fallen Jedi Knight Exar Kun, and then the Starkiller clone.
And my character.
And your character, because he is a hoity-toity douchebag.
Well, my character, Liel, is a master of Makashi.
Yeah.
Or not a master, but she knows Makashi.
Yeah. Now, we go into the 7th form of lightsaber combat, and it is called Juyo. Otherwise known as the Ferocity Form, or the Way of the Vornsker. Described as the most vicious form of lightsaber combat, Juyo was given the title of the most difficult and demanding of all the lightsaber forms.
It's also the Edge Boy form.
It's the Edge Boy form. Its sole purpose was to be used in lightsaber combat. Think of Ataru times 10 and less elaborate with its acrobatics. Yeah.
So it's more stiff.
Yeah. It's described as chaotic and erratic with a heavy focus on offense by utilizing the internal emotions of the user to bolster them in combat.
This sounds like Mace Windu.
Yeah. Very similar to Shii-Cho in that regard, by the way. Due to this, though, Juyo was looked down upon by the Jedi as a forbidden fighting style of sorts, because it's obviously harnessing your inner rage in combat, which is very violating one of the core tenets of a Jedi code, which is there is no emotion, there is peace. Conversely, Juyo is embraced by the Sith for, obvious reasons.
Obviously.
Yeah. And allowing their... with Darth Sidious himself calling Juyo a Sith style.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The moves of Juyo are described as bold and direct, making them more open and kinetic with its moveset than Dejem So, but less elaborate than Ataru, as I mentioned before. Juyo was highly effective against armed opponents, and it was so brutal on its movesets that it said that it could break through the defenses of a Ceresu specialist.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it's very offensive oriented, but despite that, it has no defensive movesets, which is
So it's just pure offense.
very pure offense.
That's not good.
No. The lesser practitioners are incapable of containing their emotions, making Juyo a gateway to the dark side of the Force, thus making the fighting style very, very popular amongst the Sith.
Well,
Cool.
no shit.
Quote from Darth Bane. You are not fully embracing the style unless your emotions ignite your senses and elevate your abilities, but do not succumb completely to your emotions. You are a Sith Lord, not an animal. As you take aim and fight through the tunnel of rage, you will experience transcendence. In that moment, you are a perfect being, and you cannot be beaten. You are at last embraced within Juyo.
That's actually pretty cool. It's like, yeah, this taps into, the dark side, but you gotta keep your head.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you let your anger cloud your judgment, that just leaves you open to counter-strikes and all that fun stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, same reason I like Sith.
Yeah. Now, there is a variant of Juyo that's used by Mace Windu, and it's called the Pod. And it was designed to answer his own weaknesses and allowing him to utilize his inner darkness as a weapon for the light side of the Force. The pad was named after a tentacled creature of the same name, which has been known to move its tentacles in almost a blur-like fashion when catching its prey.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The pad was described more as a state of mind than an actual fighting style. Allowing the user to be led through the penumbra of the dark side, requiring the user to feel the enjoyment of battle and victory. Like its inspiration, the pad users would appear to hold many lightsabers at once, moving too fast for the eye to track. Each strike would flow into each other with liquid precision, creating a near invisible weave of energy. this very fighting style is how Mace Windu was able to last so long against Darth Sidious. Because, so he does utilize his own inner darkness as a weapon for light, but he's also using Darth Sidious's own dark side aura as a weapon against him.
That's pretty cool.
Kind of think of it as the lightsaber fighting style version of a lightsaber deflecting a blaster rifle back at its source.
Interesting.
And cool time. This is by Anakin's point of view, by the way, when he's watching both Mace Windu and Sidious fighting each other, by the way. This was the pad's ultimate test. Anakin blinked and rubbed his eyes again. Maybe he was still a bit flash blind. The Kurian Master seemed to fade in and out of existence, half swallowed by a thickening black haze in which danced a meter-long bar of sunfire. Mace pressed back the darkness with his relentless straight-ahead march, his own blade, that distinctive emptiest blaze that had been the final sight of many evil beings across the galaxy, made a haze of its own, an Elbliad sphere of purple fire within which there seemed to be dozens of swords slashing in all directions at once. The shadow he fought, that blur of speed, could that be Palpatine? Their blades flared and flashed, crashing together with bursts of fire, weaving nets of killing energy in exchanges so fast that Anakin could not truly see them.
Wow.
In other words, they're fighting so fast they seem to be fading in and out of existence.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's how OP the Jedi could be. And the movie just downplays them for us.
Well, you can't. Well, no one can.
That
do
no one
now.
can do that.
Unless you want to speed up the footage, but even then, that would just be cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With CGI now, though, that could be pretty cool.
Back
And
then,
animation. Yeah.
okay, I think the movies kind of. We're watching a slowed down version of their fight, technically, in the movies. Like in the movies,
That's fair.
like
Yeah.
you know how in anime like Dragon Ball, you see Goku throwing a punch,
Mhm.
but it's slowed down for our viewing experience. Because if they were actually fighting in the way they said they would be invisible. We wouldn't be able to see them.
But
But
that's a fair comparison.
But so in Star Wars, I'm assuming that it's slowed down for viewer like audience, because if it wasn't, it would just be like blurs.
Yeah. And it would just be a flash of red and purple by our perception.
Yeah.
But it would be a nice little light show, but it wouldn't be very entertaining.
Well, yeah, it's like this is why like everything is slowed down. You know, like for example, like when you watch a movie and you see a bullet flying through the sky, and you see it in slow-mo going through all of these like people.
Yeah.
It's not like it's moving that slow. It's just that it's for the viewer experience.
Yeah, exactly. The known maneuvers of Juyo is Vornskir's Ferocity, which involves the ferocious attack of an opponent, just fighting as fast and hard as it can. And then another maneuver this is a maneuver for the pad users. This maneuver is called the Swift Flank, where they let or dash an opponent, making a quick slash. While Juyo and the Pad are undeniably powerful fighting styles within the hands of a capable and skilled user, they come with an equal amount of drawbacks. Due to Juyo's complete emphasis on offense, it lacked any defensive moveset, as I mentioned before. The Force itself, and even multiple opponents, they're vulnerable against the Force and multiple opponents, so... It's kind of like the opposite of Makashi, which is a very strong defense against Force abilities. So yeah, it's extremely powerful, but you're going to be taking a lot of hits if you miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't miss.
Exactly. And for the pod, its major drawback is that it's a much more intense version of Juyo, and since Mace Windu was the sole inventor, not the sole inventor, he had another Jedi Master named Sora Bulk help him invent the fighting style. But during the Clone Wars, it was revealed that Sora Bulk fell to the dark side.
Isn't Adepa Balaba also a master?
Oh yeah, she also fell to the dark side.
Oh, damn!
Yeah, so everybody except Mace Windu fell to the dark side with the pod.
I thought Depa died.
Okay, this is Legends' version of Depa Balaba,
Alright.
And she didn't learn Juyo. I think she's a Ceresu specialist.
Then why change that?
Yeah.
God damn.
But yeah, as I mentioned before, known masters of Juyo are Darth Sidious, Darth Bane, Darth Maul, Starkiller, and Ram Koda, who is the Jedi Master that became Starkiller's master. And the sole master of the pod would be Mace Windu, obviously.
Yep.
Okay, that was actually a lot shorter than I expected. Now we're going to go, those are all the 7 classical forms of lightsaber combat. But now I'm going to mention the offshoot lightsaber fighting styles. They're not the quote-unquote the official, but they're still considered lightsaber forms. The most popular one is Jar-Kai, which is the dual-blade fencing fighting style. It was developed alongside Nine-Man before both were adopted into the Jedi Order. And while Nine-Man became a lightsaber form, Jar-Kai was basically just there as a blanket term for dual-blade fencing and all of that. Users of Jar-Kai are always able to maintain a strong offense with the speed of those attacks being able to overpower most opponents. A typical maneuver of Jar-Kai was to continuously attack with one blade while using the other for defense. The obvious advantage of Jar-Kai is, being able to easily defend against multiple opponents at once, as we've seen multiple times in the Clone Wars TV show. A nice thing about the Jar-Kai is that it could also be paired with other lightsaber fighting styles, like maybe you want to specialize in Makashi with 2 blades, you could do that. Or if you want to be a Ceresu Jar-Kai specialist, you have basically an impenetrable defense at that point.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Dedicated practitioners of Jar-Kai have specialized lightsabers to put the fighting style to proper use, which is emphasized through the shoulder lightsaber, which is basically a lightsaber with a much shorter hilt, kind of like what Master Yoda uses.
I was gonna say, that's what Yoda uses.
Yeah, and Ahsoka Tano uses a shoulder lightsaber. It's to emphasize and allow the user to not have both of their blades get ensnared with the other, which is why they needed a shorter hilt.
Mm-hmm.
One of the known maneuvers of Jar-Kai was the Raising Whirlwind, which is basically when a user crouches down and then jumps in the air in a whirlwind-like fashion. And let's see, Jar-Kai, while being a versatile fighting style, still had its cons. With both hands holding a lightsaber, it makes it extremely difficult to use force abilities since both of your hands are occupied.
Mm-hmm.
And while it does provide more defensive coverage, it also limits your defense against power attacks since you're not using both hands. And also, Jar-Kai users are so dependent on both sabers that if they get disarmed with one, then
they're kind of fucked.
A singular blade.
That's why you learn multiple forms.
Yeah, exactly. Dooku himself, despite having several apprentices who used Jar-Kai like Asajj Ventress and Grievous, this is how he shows his contempt for Jar-Kai users. Quote, "The only aspect of Grievous's technique that vexed him more was the General's pendant for using 4 blades. 2 was bad enough. In the form that had been used by Darth Maul or an Anakin Skywalker sad attempt to employ the technique on Geonosis. But 3? What was to become of elegance and gallantry if a duelist couldn't make do with 1 blade?"
So basically he's looking down on him. He's like, you need to rely on 4 weapons when I can only use 1.
Yeah, he basically looks at users that use multiple blades as overcompensating.
Yeah, he has this curved, stupid fucking head. This motherfucker is like, you use 2 blades? Like, well, you have this curved, fucking embroidered, stupid ass with fucking.
Because he's a pompous prick.
Look at me with my fucking $1 million fucking pajamas.
Says the guy who has Beskar capes.
Whoa! That's like now. I'm just saying. I'm fashionable. This man is nothing compared to my fashion statement, okay? Fuck that guy. No, when I meet Dooku in game as my character, it's not even gonna be because I hate him. I don't even have a vendetta against him. It's just because I'm a fashion rival against him. You took everything from me. I don't even fucking know you.
You put a bad name to fashion users everywhere. I don't even know who you are.
Now give me your pajamas. I must embroid them.
You're gonna strip this man's closet when we kill him.
Christ. Known practitioners of Jar-Kai are the Starkiller clone, Darth Maul, Darth Sidious, Asajj Ventress, Kamari Vosa, and Pong Krell. Though the most famous of users is General Grievous, who is considered one of the greatest Jedi hunters of his era, and has been known to utilize 4 blades in combat, obviously. And Ahsoka Tano, who adopted the Shien variant of Jar-Kai, and is considered a master in Jar-Kai, an accomplishment very few Jedi masters can boast.
Wait, it's funny also because like Duke is like, oh, you have to use 2. Dude, you died to like 2 weapons. You died to like some. Yeah, Anakin was holding 2 lightsabers at the time when he fucked you up.
It has a sort of a wound.
Yeah, like literally Obi-Wan tossed him one of his lightsabers and just started going ham on him.
Yeah.
Not only that, fucking Anakin got his arm cut off the first time he used 2, but damn, you get fucked. You lost. You lost to 2 lightsabers. Get fucked, you bitch.
Oh, poor Dooku. Anyway.
I don't feel bad for him. I'm glad his sister's dead.
Oh, damn.
He killed her.
I know!
Oh, man. Anyway, okay, I got a simple question for you guys. What is the unique aspect of a lightsaber that very few melee weapons share?
It can change its length.
Well, okay, that is one of them.
It glows.
I mean,
it can cut through shit.
It's a light sword. It's,
It has a crystal.
it's one of the best sci-fi weapons.
Well, okay, you're very close, but the fact that you could just turn on and off the blade.
Yeah, true.
And in Legends, there is a fighting style that emphasizes that particular advantage of a lightsaber. It's called Trikata. It is basically a fighting style that incorporates the unique property of switching the blade on and off the lightsaber. Created by a Jedi consular within the days of the Old Republic to compensate for their weakness with a lightsaber. Drakata's fighting discipline was using trickery and feints and confusing and off-balancing your opponents. So, if you're like in a saber lock, you could just easily turn off that shit and have the guy stumble right next to you.
Turn it off and get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Drakata's emphasis on practicality and deception rather than single-minded determination or endless patience, like a lot of fighting styles. Its known maneuvers are Pass the Blade, which allows the user to deactivate the lightsaber along the middle of attacking the opponent, then turn it back on and stabbing them.
Smart.
Yeah. And then there's the Unbalancing Block, which is the maneuver that I explained earlier. And then there's the Flash Slash, which is the activation of a duelist blade only for a moment while in the middle of a swing, and then deactivate it again, and then activate it again to backstab them. Though despite this, the fighting style was frowned upon by both the Sith and the Jedi. In the former's case, in their unwillingness to rely on deception and the trickery, and the latter's case in seeing it as a very cowardly tactic.
The Sith saw it cowardly?
Yeah, because they emphasize on brute forcing shit.
That sounds like something the Sith would be all for.
But yeah, think about it. If you're a Sith, and you're like, ha, I dominated you, fucking Jedi, you fear before my power. What are they gonna fear? The unstoppable juggernaut that's breaking your defenses, or somebody that's always switching on and off their lightsaber?
There.
Yeah.
What would win? One of the toughest beings in the galaxy, or one turn off, turn on boy?
That's my secret, Captain America. I'm always off.
Oh my god.
And also, while it might seem like an unpredictable fighting style, if used against an opponent that is well knowledge in Trikata, it would basically be very useless. It's like using suplex on your opponent over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's see. The final fighting style that I'm going to be talking about in this episode, it's not exactly a fighting discipline, but it's called a form of combat utilized by the Sith, so I'm going to include it. It is called Dun Mok.
Damn it, not seduction? Okay.
Well, it's kind of close to that.
Okay.
Dun Mok. It is a combat tactic commonly utilized by the Sith, which is emphasized through distraction and doubt, usually through taunting, which is why you see a lot of Sith characters say, "You better, do better. Why don't you use your rage more, you fucking pussy?" That's basically the
Why don't you use your rage more, you fucking pussy? No, just like Lamau L plus ratio. just literally locking blades with the Jedi. Lamau, fuck you.
Fuck you, bitch.
Lamau, small penis.
The Sith's discipline is always to dominate an opponent's spirit through any means necessary. Dun Mok is commonly involved with taunts, jeers, and jests that expose the opponent's hidden doubts and weaknesses. Mental attacks are also employed to lessen the opponent's concentration, such as pelting them with rocks and random objects and all that.
Yep.
Let's see. Dun Mok, in short, is the use of the force through psychological warfare. And
I like that.
yeah, and a tactic commonly used by Call of Duty players.
It doesn't even work. It doesn't even work.
It doesn't.
Well, it was worth a shot. I made that joke like a long ass time ago, but yeah, whatever. This combat style is not only used by the Sith, but it was also used by the Jedi to a lesser extent. And more of the, you might as well surrender now sort of thing. So it's not like, hey, you have a small penis, fuck you. It's more of a, might as well surrender now, bitch.
Lamau.
Lamau.
Lamau. Get fucked. I feel like I'd be very good at this fucking technique.
Oh, yeah.
Lamau, fuck you.
The Jedi of Luke Skywalker's generation would commonly employ an inverse version of Dun Mok, which is basically the idea of, I know there's still good in you. Turn your back on the dark side and join the light.
You see, I would do a version of mine, and then I always want to do this. You get a cotton swab, right? And when your like lightsabers are locked, you just put the cotton swab in their ear, and then you smack the cotton swab.
Oh my god. Well, as powerful of a tactic this might be against those that have strong doubt and have a lot of weakness and
just get a fucking feather, start tickling their nose.
But yeah, Dun Mok is a double-edged combat tactic of sorts. Because, as we've seen in Revenge of the Sith, if you keep on taunting your opponent, they'll eventually lose their patience and just strike out as much as they can. It's like, hey, you have a small dick. No, I do not. You take that back.
Lock blades. Give your homie a little peck on the cheek before you can say goodnight. Well, just fuck with them. Just fuck with them.
But yeah, if it can backfire, spurring the opponent's inner anger instead of amplifying their fear. Though for the Sith, they could see that as a positive if they want to, give that particular opponent fervor to the dark side of the Force, because they're literally unleashing their inner rage and anger and all that. Described by Darth Sidious himself.
Remind me to be like the most annoying fighter there is in D&D. Just like doing the most weirdest shit. It's like I'm trying to kill you and you're tickling me with a feather.
That's like the girly Dun Mok. Dun Mok may backfire, but if it provokes an enemy into mindless anger. But rage opens your enemy to the dark side, which can be exploited in its own ways.
I just make someone hallucinate that they're at a tea party with me. Would you like some tea? Tasty.
But yeah, those are the fighting styles employed by lightsaber users. So, you guys have any questions?
Dude, I'm gonna do some. I'm gonna mess up people with that fighting style you just told me about, where it's like trickery. I'm gonna make them hallucinate they see a hot girl, like a fucking at a saloon or some shit.
Yeah.
We're gonna walk towards it. I'm gonna smack them with my hand, get them out of the hallucination, then make them hallucinate again. I'm gonna diddle them with a fucking cotton swab in their ear. Just smack the cotton swab.
Ow!
Well, I'm glad I inspired you in
kiss
some
the
way.
cheek. Just kiss your homie goodnight on the cheek. Make him more pissed off. just the most weirdest shit. Give them a wet willy while they're trying to hit you in the face.
Yeah.
Get a fucking what's that, like the Jack in the Box with the boxing glove in it?
Yeah, are you talking about Joker?
Yeah. Well, no, but just do some like weird heinous shit.
You know, I've been watching a lot of Sonic Boom, the TV show, not the
Get a fucking frying pan while you're like locked with just tonk them on the fucking hair. Tonk.
But yeah, as I said earlier, I've been watching a lot of Sonic Boom recently. And there's this scene where Sonic and Shadow are fighting, and Shadow's all like, "Any last words, Sonic?" And Sonic's like, "Yeah, Captain Wonderpants." And Shadow's like, "What? That doesn't make any sense." And he gets punched in the face.
Ouch.
I'm gonna make someone hallucinate that they're in a Looney Tunes cartoon.
But yeah, okay, just to make things a little bit more interesting, for you as an individual, which fighting style would you use?
The last one you're talking about where you're just fucking with your opponent. Dude, no, I would make someone hallucinate with like force hallucination that they're in like a Spanish soap opera or some shit. And we're like, where they play like the guitar every time someone gets slapped. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
You just remind me of a Family Guy. You kind of like, yeah.
Put them in a telenovela.
Papi. Niño.
Just put them into a telenovela.
Then I'm gonna teleport them into an Indian soap opera with all those fucking cuts and shit. No. Then I'm going to fucking make them hallucinate that they're in a Looney Tunes cartoon, and I'm like fucking Bugs Bunny, and I'm running away from them. And then they're about to shoot me, and they're about to stab me with the lightsaber, and I just turn the lightsaber around and just start eating it like a Kit Kat, and just punch them in the face and run away.
Anyway.
Okay, of 7.
Dude, I love the technique that I have in the book. It's just force hallucination. I'm gonna do so much heinous shit with that.
It's dark.
It is the funniest ability. It can be anything you want it to be.
Yeah. Okay.
To answer your question, I would probably use Dunmok, but also I would probably use Makashi as a lightsaber form.
As purely your main lightsaber form?
I would say yeah.
Okay.
And maybe Ceresu?
Just to defend against those pesky blaster
Yes.
douchebags. Me personally, I would also go Ceresu, a little bit of Makashi, and a little bit of Naiman and Jarkai, just to get all my rears covered.
Nice.
But is it just doing mock for you, kid? Or what about the other fighting
That's gonna be the
styles?
funniest shit, dude. Like, Nine Man and Dunmok, you just fuck with them with hallucinations.
Yeah.
But like, oh my god, I can't wait just to like put someone in a soap opera hallucination and just be like, Miyamo!
You know, instead of it being a Spanish soap opera, in the Star Wars universe, it's a Hut soap opera.
I'm gonna put them, dude. No, I'm gonna do some like, what other things like can I do to them that would be very funny? I put them in a fucking Scooby Doo cartoon. Oh no, Maul, we gotta run.
No, in all seriousness, whatever.
Those are the two. Those are the two.
Just the two?
I mean, Juyo is pretty cool, but that's edgy.
Of course.
Edge
What about
boy.
Nine Man, though?
That man's fine.
Okay.
Major edge boy.
Okay. Also, Dracana would be nice to use in combat as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of over-specialized, but it's very practical fighting style.
I can't wait to Looney Tunes someone, bro. I just cannot wait to Looney Tunes someone. I cannot wait to put someone in an NSFW fucking Rule 34 hallucination.
Oh
With a
no!
bunch of Sonic pics.
Oh
Be
no!
like, congratulations, you're now trapped in the R34 section of Reddit. bitch!
This is why I love a Sonic Boom cartoon. There's like this part where there's this villain who's like, "Who dares stands against me? A so-and-so, a viral sensation and all that." And Sonic is all like, "Viral sensation? You mean like all those really weird pictures of me?"
Oh no.
I'm gonna put, just make someone hallucinate that they're in the 4chan section of Sonic. Get fucked.
Lows. Lamau said kid.
Lamau.
So,
I'm
what are
gonna
we
put
gonna
someone
be
in Space Tube.
what are we gonna be covering next week?
I'll get to that. So that's our episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi? Or in this case, how much can Kid to fuck with the enemy's mind?
Dude, that sounds like the funnest form. Just fucking with someone's mind.
I wouldn't even call Dude Monic a fighting style. It's more of psychological warfare bullshit.
No. And I'll carry, like, I'll make people hallucinate that I'm carrying, like, a bag of pies, but I'm actually carrying a real bag of pies, so they'll never know if they're gonna get pied or not pied. So every time I throw a pie at their face, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's not real," and then it's real. But then when they think it's, like, it's real, it's not real. They're gonna get so psychologically
Did you
fucked up.
steal that from the SpongeBob episode with the exploding pie?
No.
Oh
Maybe.
lord.
I'm gonna make someone think that they have thumbtacks in their fucking toes,
Yeah.
but then I'm gonna turn them into fucking eyeballs or some shit.
Ew.
Anyway, so do you guys want to guess? Oh, okay. We've been talking a majority about Force users for the past 10 episodes or so. And as Hannah mentioned earlier in the episode, we're going to try and take a little break from Force users and focus on other aspects of Star Wars. So,
More specifically, as it requested that we do.
yeah. And Kit was getting a little bit tired of the Sith as well.
True.
So, you guys want to know what the next episode is going to be about?
What? Or who?
What?
What?
Next episode, we will be talking about the race of Ahsoka Tano, aka the Togruans.
Nice.
So,
That's gonna be fun to cover.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to cover, and I'm looking forward to another species-centric episode. So anyway, that's our episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi. I hope you guys had a wonderful time listening to me blabber on about lightsaber forms and Kid being the sassy asshole as he usually is.
Dude, no, I'm gonna make someone go into the Fresh Prince opening.
Oh lord.
I'm just gonna make someone think that they're in a sitcom.
Bye-bye!
Anyway, everybody have a great summer. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye!
Bye.